The adventure of episode 6 was actually hinted at right at the start of episode 5. That, and a lot more we'll be talking about today. If you remember the first scene of episode 5, you'll recall how after some failed attempts to cheer up Pomni, Ragatha goes off to help Kinger with a pretty weird thing, and those eggs definitely aren't there, just for show. If you think back to the start of episode 4, where they officially confirmed one of episode 5's adventures, you can guess something similar happened this time too. And if you remember, the farm theme popped up a few times in episode 5, even if kinda indirectly, plus the fact episode 6 is gonna focus on Jax and Ragatha as well. I'm 99.9% sure the new adventure is gonna be something to do with a farm. We've already talked about the possible connection between Jax and Ragatha in the real world, and I also told you why Kane knows everything about the characters, including their past lives. So from that, I can guess episode 6's adventure is going to take place on that same farm that belonged to Ragatha's family. Also gotta point out that even though in all the previous episodes adventures took up like 85 to 90% of screen time, episode 6 is going to be a bit different. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the first one where the adventure plays a secondary role, but let's take it step by step. Like I said, the farm played a big part in Jax and Ragatha's past, and since these characters are starting to show us a whole new side, the new adventure probably won't be some kind of chaos, but a personal story about these two. And it's super important to get that, since the key events are going to happen right inside the digital circus tent. But the spark for all this, going to be the new adventure. Like I said, it's going to be pretty chill and personal. The core of the adventures split into two storylines, Pomni and Jax on one side, while Ragatha and kinda the others on the other. In episode 5, we saw how Jax started turning into a more normal character, and episode 6 is going to keep that going. I think the whole point of the new adventure is that Ragatha, just like in real life, will kind of be the owner of the farm while the others work for her, and Jax and Pomni will be paired up, maybe even picking corn. That's when we'll find out why Jax is so scared of this crop, and of course there's going to be a long, honest convo between them. We'll find out who Ribbit is, and why this character was so important to Jax that even mentioning him gets Jax to react like that. We'll also learn a lot more about the real Jax, and if you remember that old concept art from Gooseworx, where she showed different versions of Jax, it's clear this guy's kind of a mashup of a lot of mixed up emotions, and that just makes it twice as interesting to find out the real truth about him. While those two are working and having their honest convo, the second main character of episode 6 will be the one running everything. And since we already 100% get that Ragatha's super dependent on the opinions and attention of the others, I think there's a real chance she'll kind of come down to earth and join the second group with Zubul, Kinger, and Gangle, and say what you want about Zubul, but she definitely knows how to listen and get people to open up. And like I already said, the new adventure is going to be about honesty and character development, not chaos. So we're going to learn way more about Ragatha's past and how she really feels right now, all thanks to Zubul and her ability to actually connect with the others. I think a lot of people noticed that Jax and Ragatha act super weird around each other, and like I already said, they were definitely connected in the real world. Since Jax is the kind of character who bottles everything up, I doubt he's going to say anything about it when talking to Pomni, but Ragatha's the total opposite, and once she gets going, you can't really stop her, and I'm sure that during the farm adventure, she's going to spill that secret. Pretty much every fan picked up on the fact that Jax has been treating Pomni way too nicely, especially compared to how things were between them before.
Guess you're never getting that unicorn horn, Pomni.
When did I ever say anything about that?
You know, we care about you. Maybe when we catch up to them, we could...
Gotta be assertive. Like this!
Hey! Jax!
I want to see what your funny cartoon body does.
And even in this video, I'm kind of building up to the idea that these two might actually become real friends during or after episode 6. But there's one thing that's been stuck in my head, and I'm talking about that TADC ad in Japan, where we see that classic dynamic between Jax and Pomni again. Except this time, our jesters acting way more confident than in earlier episodes. So that led to a theory that maybe the creators were low-key, hinting that even though things seem cool between them, Jax is still gonna do something that rubs Pomni the wrong way. I'm not saying betrayal or anything huge like that, but maybe some messed up joke or action that makes Pomni realize Jax hasn't actually changed, and their whole friendship thing was just another one of his games. Honestly, that could make sense, but I feel like there's more to it, and we're gonna talk about that in a bit, but for now, drop your thoughts in the comments. And if we're looking at the farm adventure as the full-on reveal of Jax and Ragatha, then it's totally possible we're going to learn a bit more about the other characters too, especially since that kind of started back in episode 5.
Well, I sometimes got bored of things, and I would seek out mild thrills like exploring abandoned buildings, and posting videos of it online.
Ah, a YouTuber.
Not really. Nobody watched them.
I sometimes did that. I wouldn't record it, though.
I was in community college for graphic design, but I dropped out. I didn't really pursue art much after that.
Hey, I'm always down to make art together if you want.
Oh, I didn't know you were an artist too, Zubul.
Yeah, I was a tattoo artist for a couple years.
Well, I ain't gonna repeat the Breaking Bad nod or Ragatha's backstory again because we've talked about that tons of times. Also, while watching episode 5, sharp-eyed fans noticed lots of characters were tied to abandoned buildings, and maybe in episode 6 we'll finally get the real deal on how these characters end up in the digital circus. That's pretty much the main stuff you gotta know about the new adventure in episode 6, but on top of that, we got some leaks that just make us even more hyped for what's coming. And it's important to point out that some of them might totally change how you see the new episode. First off, it's already obvious that episode 6 is going to focus mostly on Jax, because if we go back to that leak from Goose, we know that Jax was supposed to get just as much depth in episode 5 as Ragatha did. But let's be real, aside from finding out that Jax is actually kinda sentimental.
Gangle is actually capable of being happy.
What?
I don't know, like her comedy mask still breaks every day. Does she think hanging out with Zubul is gonna magically fix that?
And besides finding out that he once had a friend named Ribbit, we didn't really learn anything new about him. While with Ragatha, we literally got everything. Her childhood, her issues, her true personality, her obsession with being perfect. So yeah, get ready, cause 80 or maybe even 90% of episode 6 is gonna be all about Jax, and we were actually warned about this over a year ago. Also, let's not forget, episode 5 was called the Silly Before the Storm, and if that was the calm and chill episode, like they described it, then I'm honestly scared to imagine what's coming next, especially what might get revealed in episode 6, because that one's basically the start of the real chaos. We already know the so-called keyword of episode 6, guns. Also, a lot of people noticed that Jax kinda seemed like a better person in episode 5. However, you really shouldn't believe everything you see, because even if we just remember that blue sky post from Gooseworx, it becomes clear Jax's behavior actually has deeper reasons. And let's not pretend we don't get what's going on here. It's obvious he turned into this jerk exactly because of his only real friend who's no longer in the digital circus. And I'm more than sure this will be brought up in episode 6 most likely, in a conversation between Jax and Pomni, but if we look back at that post we'll notice Goose straight up said Jax still not a good person. This one seemingly minor line can totally flip how we see the new episode, cause I'm sure we'll get a bunch of scenes with Jax and Pomni where we'll finally see some real honesty and the start of a genuine friendship from Jax toward Pomni. But for some reason, I got a feeling that's exactly where it'll stop. Because if chaos is supposed to break loose and the episode's all about Jax and everything's pointing at him being the one who kicks it all off, then something's definitely gonna go down between these two. As always, I'm waiting for your thoughts in the comments, and see you real soon.